So Bitcoin, and I understand the animosity that a lot of gold people have for Bitcoin because they've been carrying the sound money flag for years and years and years. Here comes this technological development it's gonna mess. They think is gonna mess them up, but it's not. They can actually coexist quite well, and they play different roles. And then in turn, there are a lot of other things around Bitcoin.
Hey guys, welcome back to Everyday Finance. In this video, Larry Lepard discuss about Bitcoin and gold, according to Larry Lepard. The Bitcoin blockchain, in Larry Lepard's perspective, is what invented the first truly robust set of protocols that enable digital scarcity, and this is a significant issue. This is similar to, say, the printing press when it first emerged. Nobody knows how big of a deal that is, not unlike how a printing press appeared out of nowhere what a person might perform by hand, what an automobile could perform, or, as you may know, what a telephone could perform in place of a telegraph or a telephone did what you were aware of. Pony Express, did Larry Lepard really just suggest that you had to wait for the digitally rare and genuinely most likely digitally rare, and up until the release of Bitcoin, he never considering that it simply didn't exist? You could develop anything as a result that people may mine Bitcoin to obtain ownership of and labor for. You are aware of which required energy, by the way. Remember, money is just energy. And you may have a token, which is comparable to a marker or ledger that states, Larry Lepard say, I own 1 Bitcoin. People often comment, it's not tangible, you can't touch it. And that's true, and lots of things Larry Lepard discuss, so please watch the video to end, and like, share, subscribe our channel Everyday Finance. Thanks.
And I understand. So you have to remember, I was in gold long before Bitcoin existed. I've been investing in gold since well before 2000, and I dedicated myself to gold in 2008. When the GFC happened and they printed all that money, I said, okay, I get it. You know, they're going to inflate the shit out of this currency. I need to be in gold and silver. Bitcoin was invented in 2008. I didn't even know about that. And so, you know, I am first and foremost a gold and silver bug, and gold and silver have been money for 5,000 years, and you know, they're incorruptible money, and I call them analog sound money because you can touch them, feel them, you know, they're useful for jewelry, etc., etc. So Bitcoin, and I understand the animosity that a lot of gold people have for Bitcoin because they've been carrying the sound money flag for years and years and years. Here comes this technological development that's gonna mess. They think is gonna mess them up, but it's not. They can actually coexist quite well, and they play different roles. And then in turn, there are a lot of other things around Bitcoin that sent them off the scent. There are all these shit coins. There are all these fake cryptos. There's Sam Bankman-Fried. There's all the people yelling and hyping and pumping the shit. I get it. I totally get it. And so if you're a sound money, old school gold person, you'd have a natural inclination to say all crypto is bullshit. Okay, I get that. But let me make a point that I think people should try to understand, you know, and should listen to if they are a gold bug and they're skeptical of crypto, or skeptical of Bitcoin, I should say. And that is this: Bitcoin is actually a technological innovation. Okay, it's something that never existed until it existed. And what is that technological innovation? Bitcoin creates quote unquote digital scarcity. If you think about anything digital, you know, a CD, a movie, a computer file, you know, a Word document, whatever, anything digital can be copied 1 million times, right? There's nothing scarce about anything digital. But a blockchain with a proof of work algorithm with an immutable nature to it, and, you know, all the other things, the halving and the difficulty adjustment, a lot of technical things. The guys who invented Bitcoin, the people, the anonymous people, and I think it was a team. I don't think Satoshi is one person. I think there were a bunch of people. And they realized that if they came public, that wouldn't help the cause. So they just put it out there and said, here's this thing we invented, see what you think of it. I think the Bitcoin blockchain, the Bitcoin innovation created, in my opinion, the first really strong set of protocols which allowed for digital scarcity. And this is a big deal. I mean, this is like, you know, I mean, the printing press, I mean, when it came along, nobody, a lot of people don't realize, but that's a really big deal. Just the same way that a printing press suddenly did what somebody could do by hand, or a car did what a horse did, or, you know, a telephone did what a telegraph did, or a telegraph did what, you know, Pony Express did. I mean, you've actually got a way to have something be quote unquote digitally scarce and truly provably digitally scarce. And until Bitcoin came along, you never had that. It just didn't exist. And so as a result, you could create, something that people could own and work to get through mining of Bitcoin that, which involved energy, by the way. I mean, again, all money goes back to energy. And you could have a token, a marker, a ledger that said, I own 1 Bitcoin. Very similar to the way, people say, well, it's not tangible, you can't touch it. That's correct. But really, money is just a ledger. Money is what people agree, back in the caveman days, right? People were sitting there and they were thinking to themselves, they didn't even have gold, wasn't even money yet, right? But their markings on walls of caves, and it was clear that they were keeping score. Okay, I killed 3 bison. How many did you kill? You killed 1 bison. Well, you know what? You owe me 2 bison. And so, money is social obligation, right? It says, I can use my money and you'll give me something. You'll give me food, you'll give me gasoline, whatever it might be, you'll give me labor. I mean, it's a way for people to exchange value amongst themselves. And so, it so happens that gold became the soundest form of money because it was scarce and it was, tangible, and you could trade it, you knew what it was. But also, even before gold, people were just keeping score. I mean, if, we could say, I cooked 3 meals for you, now you owe me 3 meals back. And that didn't involve any gold or any money. It was just a scorekeeping mechanism. And that's what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin is a digital entry that says, I've got one of these things, you don't. I'll exchange it for you, but you got to decide, we'll sign a price. What do I get in exchange for it? So,
according to Larry Lepard, money is a ledger. You only need to realize that it need not be a concrete, physical object that you can touch or hold in your hands. This ledger is genuinely tenable, unchangeable, and scarce because everyone is aware that there are countless seashells and sand alternatives to money, and neither of them is valuable. This brings me to my second point. There isn't much gold around, so it was difficult to mine, which is why it worked so well, as money recognized that gold was the best money. Because if you paid the effort to pay attention to it, it was evidence of work when Bitcoin appears. It truly does. Larry Lepard say, in my opinion, represent a type of unquote digital objective based on the acceptance even if we couldn't all agree that it was digital gold, wouldn't be considered digital gold. And as Larry Lepard previously stated, there are 2 things that can cause Bitcoin to crash. One doesn't function technically anymore.
So really, you have to accept that money is a ledger. It doesn't need to be physical. You don't need to touch it. It doesn't need to be a physical, tangible thing. And then you need to accept that this ledger is truly defensible and immutable and scarce, right? Because we all know that if money is seashells or money is sand, well, there are zillions of those, and that it doesn't have any value. I mean, the other reason gold works so well as money is there's not a lot of it around, right? So, it was hard to mine, and therefore we knew that if you'd mined it, you'd spent the energy to mine it. That was proof of work. So gold was the best money, and then Bitcoin comes along, and what it really, in my opinion, it really does represent a form of quote unquote digital gold, depending upon the adoption. Okay, if we all didn't agree it was digital gold, it wouldn't be digital gold. And so, as I've said in the past, there are 2 things that can destroy Bitcoin. One, it technically doesn't work anymore, i.e. the system breaks. And it's worked for 14 years. You got these core developers running it. There haven't been any breaches of security. It totally works. So I'm quite convinced that its technical risk is quite low. The other would be if people collectively decide, we don't care about this. We're not going to use it. There's no real, you say it has value, but I don't think it has value. I'm not going to use it. Fine. Okay. And that's your right. But the point is, and I used to be a venture capitalist before I got into this investing in sound money. The point is, dogs are eating the food. And what do I mean by that? I mean, people are using it, and every year more people use it. And you look around, the number of addresses, the number of transactions, the number of use cases. In Nigeria, 20 or 30% of the people use it because the money there sucks. And this is how they actually exchange value with one another. They're using the Lightning Network to do it. So the point is, adoption is growing. More and more people are using it. So what have you got? You've got a digital system which has true scarcity and immutability, which is now becoming easier to use with the Lightning Network, and you've got more people using it. So, and it's easy to send. The Lightning Network, you can send, large amounts of value for less than a penny. Okay. The on-chain transactions cost more, but that's what the Lightning layer was invented for. and you've got more and more people adopting it, and we're in a digital world. I mean, I could send you $1 billion of Bitcoin if I had it, and you would have it in 10 minutes. I mean, if I were to try and send you $1 billion worth of gold, I'd have to get 10 Brinks trucks, and a bunch of armed guards. So the point is, it's instant settlement, it's final settlement, and it represents a form of money that we've never known before. So it really is a legitimate technical innovation. All the other shit, by the way, Ethereum, Dogecoin, that's all crap. That all has some guy at the top who pre-mined it, kept a lot for himself, and wants you to buy his shit so that he can get rich off of you. Bitcoin, there's no CEO of Bitcoin. There's no management team of Bitcoin. There's some core developers who collectively, monitor the system and make sure it keeps running in the correct way. But there really is nothing, there's nothing that can quote unquote change the 21 million cap. I mean, you'd have to have a large consensus of the people to do that, and nobody who owns it would ever vote to change it because it makes no sense. It would dilute their value. And so here you have a form of money that is digital, easy to move around, totally secure. You can secure it with 12 words. And as I say, it really is digital gold. And you've also got, you got two things going on. Both these things are going to go up in value. As we discussed earlier, money is being printed by governments and they cannot stop. I mean, they just can't because of the way the politics works. If they stop, they lose their jobs. And so they have to continue to provide benefits that they can't really afford. And the way they do that is by printing money. Okay.